All right, so keeping track on the same topic with helping gut inflammation to be reduced, overall systemic inflammation to be reduced, helping with autoimmune disorders and putting inflammatory markers back in healthy ranges. We talked about glutamine just a couple days ago. And today, I want to talk about another compound that I've been using, and it is a peptide. It's called BPC157. So there it is, 5 milligrams for this little guy. You got to reconstitute it. Reconstitute it with, I do 2 cc's of Bactocera water, and that will put at every 10 tick on the insulin syringe. It'll be 250 micrograms. And I do that twice a day. So 250 micrograms twice a day on an empty stomach is what I do. I put it right inside my fat, my lower abdomen, so subcutaneously. I'll do it in the morning, empty stomach, and then I'll do it again before I go to sleep on the empty stomach as well. And when we say empty stomach, morning obviously fasted, but at night before I go to bed, usually I do it like an hour after my meal because I have a slow gastric emptying. So I do it an hour after my meal, and then I won't eat another meal for another hour, right? So it's maybe a 2-hour period where there's no food going into my stomach, because we say empty stomach, right? Not empty intestines, but empty stomach. So what am I doing it for? Again, I'm doing it for my gut health and overall inflammatory markers. Now, what's really cool about BPC157, this peptide, what is it exactly? Okay, so it is a body protectant compound, and it's made up of 15 amino acid sequence, and it is a pentadeca peptide. Okay, and it's found naturally in the stomach from its gastric acids, and it can help heal. And so the theory around it and the studies of was done on some mice, and it's kind of cool. They like cut a tendon, Achilles tendon on a mouse, and they gave it what would be equivalent to 250 micrograms. I believe they did 2 or 3 times a day. And what it can do is it can help with increasing endothelial cells growth, and it can help with fibroblast growth and the tendon fibroblasts as well. And they can help it actually regrow in that area. And they did it directly to that area. That would be for if you had like a like tendonitis, or you had other bursitis, maybe shoulder, knees, you would do it directly into that area. And probably after about, a couple of weeks, usually about like a week, but then, a good 2-3 weeks, alongside with some good physical therapy movements, you're going to have alleviation of pain and some wound healing, or a injury healing. And it's confident enough to say that this will be the 95% effective. You know what I mean? Taking a bold claim here, but if done right and your BPC is real, again, I get mine from Amino Asylum. So this is another Amino Asylum product. I get mine from their website. I use code THINK to save some money. And also it helps thinkbigbodybuilding.com out. So they're another education and entertainment, but mainly education, YouTube channel for us to be safe and have a long, successful career in fitness related industries, and especially bodybuilding. So the thought process behind me trying this out is because I do have some nagging injuries alongside with my gastrointestinal issues. So the glutamine, it's more of like an internal protectant for my epithelial cells within my wall of my intestine, because I want to make sure that pathogens or bacteria stay in there. But then we also want to increase blood flow to any type of damaged or inflamed markers, usually the CBP or interleukin 16 markers may be very high on a blood test, on genetic biomarker testing, and that would be indicative of some sort of like inflammatory issue and trauma to that area, and that's usually like you're living in chronic inflammation, right? And so inflammation, it's a very overused term. This has been spouted out by a lot of professionals. They're not the biggest fans of the word inflammation. I believe there's a podcast, and one of the guys, so I think Ron on Think Big Bodybuilding, he was saying how like that's an overused term, and Ron Partlow, there we go. But it is true, because you can't just associate feeling or ucky or lethargic with inflammation, and so that's a difference. You can't associate water retention with inflammation. So very good point. And so when we address certain inflammatory issues, we are typically talking about the ones that are caused by an acute stress or a chronic stress, and that is blunting endothelial cells or extra blood flow to that area to help promote proliferation of growth hormone to that area. So that's really what we want, and that's what the benefit of the BPC157 for direct specific injections for a specific area of pain, for like tendons. They can help with that tendon fibroblast to help with that growth hormone. And so put that aside. Again, I'm not editing this. I'm just me talking and documenting what's going on. So the BPC157, I chose to do in an injectable form. Again, I'm choosing to do it subcutaneous. You can do it orally. There's pills out there. You can do creams. It is topical. There are some places that can do it topically, and it can permeate through the epidermis. But I don't really know if it can get down to subsquamous tissues or even hit the endothelial layer. So it's, I don't know if it almost be like some sort of cupping technique as well, but maybe it's better. So it can also be done intramuscularly or again, straight into the tendon. So what I'm hoping that it does, and this is going to be my theory, is that it becomes systemic. Okay, so I'm assuming that I've done it for 3 days now, and I have seen less water retention around my abdomen. And I can put photos up on my Instagram at fit.dad.lifestyle. And what I'm assuming is it is helping with reducing the crossing of pathogens and maybe toxins around my intestinal tract based on my food or my immune system level or my stress level, my cortisol levels. I'm assuming it's helping to protect that barrier on top of what I'm doing now with the glutamine and the quarter block by Chemix. And there's another compound I use. It is the butyric acid, and tributyrin is the one that I use. Usually it's yielding like 300 milligrams of tributyrin. And right now I'm taking a break from that while I'm doing the BPC157. So I'm trying to use as few variables as possible. And it seems like, again, it's reducing water retention around my midsection throughout the day, not just usually like when I wake up. Everyone seems to be a little bit better looking, a little bit more dry. But now, again, it's directing the endothelial growth factors to my intestinal tract, because that's probably the most inflamed. That interleukin 18 is probably the most inflamed in that area. And so it seems like it goes to the closest area wherever you inject it. Now, I'm hoping that it gets enough controlled through the injection sites. after about maybe week 2, that it starts to heal other areas of my body. So I have a nagging issue with my lower back, and then that flares up with deadlifts or with squats, because again, I choose not to do it with a belt beyond or under a certain weight. And so I'm kind of testing it there. But also I have arthritis in my wrist where I don't have any bone in my carpal, right? So I'm hoping that it can reduce the pain that I get from having either type of like a radial flexion in my wrist, or if my wrist has been like under a specific amount of load, it can go numb and then just not work, right? So I'm wondering if it can actually help with healing that without directly injecting to that area. So maybe I can get this under control, right? So maybe it'll systemically go throughout my body and be that smart. And I'm hoping that's what I can document. So if you wanted to know, I mean, the fact that that they do have a lot of research on BPC157, so it's not a underground compound at all. We do trust the places that we get it from certain facilities, compounding facilities, and so far so good. But under Google Scholar, you can definitely type in BPC157. I wanted to know specifically about the gastrointestinal tract, and it gives me all these articles, and they use it even for wound victims in the hospitals and burn victims. They use it for people who have to be going through some sort of FODMAP diet. Maybe they have colitis, or they have C. diff, maybe they have diverticulitis. This is things that they actually use. It can help with healing colon. And what we're hoping in this therapy is that we can modify the endothelial cells around the tissues that protect the colon and protect the intestines. They can help with a proliferation of better bacteria balance that may help reduce Crohn's and manage it better. Manage MS, because MS, they find that the bacterial the bacterial growth inside the colon predicts on how that person's MS is going to respond that day. So there's a lot of muscular, neuromuscular diseases that seem to be worsened by the bacterial growth or bacterial imbalance that we have in our GI tract. And so a lot of that is because of permeability, some of it lifestyle, some of it drug induced, whether that be prescription drugs or not. It's an imbalance somewhere. Could be stress induced as well. But it seems that if we can help with these biomarkers that are out of whack, just like pretty much on the higher end of what is normal, then we can maybe cure some diseases and help some people out and get them off of chronic pain medications, get them off of chronic autoimmune medications. So like I would rather not use Dupixent to control my interleukins. I'd rather use BPC157, and I would see better results, is what I'm assuming. And I'm also curious to see if it's going to cure some of my skin issues as well, from the interleukin 4 and interleukin 16 due to my eczema. So I'm stopping Dupixent, and this is what we're going to use instead, and see if it'll clear up some of that issue. And today I did squats, and so I did notice I don't know if it's placebo, it's probably placebo by now, but my back is not feeling bad at all. And this is from doing a heavy back day yesterday, and then now I did a moderately heavy squat day today, going up to 405, and doing some back offsets and such, but some pyramiding. And we'll see what happens. So I was trying to be most informative as possible, but again, that's BPC157. That's what it is. That's what type of peptide it is. I use the Amino Asylum. Again, that's what I use. Amino Asylum. Use code THINK is what I support, and you can save some money that way. And 250 micrograms twice a day is what I use. You can go up to 1,000 micrograms, but why not start on the lower dose and then work your way up to see how well it works for you, because we want to do things in moderation and keep us safe and always get blood work. So I would definitely recommend some sort of biomarker blood beforehand if you want to. I'm assuming you can probably go to Merrick Lab and do it. You can go to a lot of other websites like the private MD labs that I used before on my previous video I showed you, and get some data for you. And yeah, that's about it. If you guys have any other questions, that's what I'm doing. I'm going to update you again later on and see how everything works out. Follow me on fit.dad.lifestyle for any type of progress photos. And again, you know, I'm not looking to get huge. I'm just looking to improve overall well-being while maintaining strength and reducing other autoimmune disorders and muscular atrophy disorders as well. And hopefully it works out. So talk to you guys later. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all those great things. And talk to you guys again soon.